Hello, hello. This is Cheryl here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today to do, gosh, I have everything everywhere. I'm here today to do some shabby chic, show you how to do some shabby chic clusters. Now, clusters are one of those things that people can struggle with because I have struggled with them. But I've studied them and looked at how other people have made them, watched tons of videos, and decided that what kind of cluster I really like. And so there's all different ways, and I'm not saying there's any one right or wrong way. I'm just going to show you the way that I do the shabby chic ones. They're my favorite, and I don't like clusters to look like a big clump. So I'm going to show you how I do that and make them look more intentionally made instead of just throwing stuff in a pile and gluing it together. I've seen that. I've done that, and I don't like it. I end up taking them out of the journal, ripping them off pages. I have taken whole pages out of my journals because of one cluster that I hated. So let me show you. I have some that I did. And so I'm going to do them kind of the same way today. Here's one that I did, which is very different. But I'm not going to do that one today. It's more involved. I'll tell you how I did it, and you can do it because it's not hard. And it's very shabby. It's very, if you put it in a journal, it's going to be gorgeous, you know. And I just did it with like an offcut of paper and some laces and book pages and a digital butterfly. So I'll tell you more about that one after we do these, but I want to show you how to do these shabby chic clusters. Now, I used book page, and I have old book page. Like, I'll put these over here. Can you still see them? I used old book paper, or music paper is what I'm trying to say. And then I have music paper that is whiter and newer, okay? And I even have these pieces, which I'll probably try to use. So I used those two kind of papers because when you have shabby chic, if you want to get that vintagey, shabby chic kind of look, you're going for differences, variations in color. Okay, if you do it all one color, it's not going to be as appealing as if you do like darker paper and then lighter paper and darker laces and lighter laces, that kind of thing. If you ever look at the ones that you really love, like on Pinterest, you're going to see that those people did that. Mostly they did that. They used variances, and sometimes they've done it with ink. You know, they've inked the certain papers or the edges of papers or whatever. Here I've made like little, my flower didn't seem big enough, so I made some little heart cutouts with some of the lighter paper. I inked it just a little bit, but you can see that it's very different from this color, and it just all, and this lace is light and this lace is darker and the flower is light, so there's variations. I also added in pink. I had a pink flower. I think pink and shabby chic are, you know, they go together. So we'll look at that. And then here, this is a very white flower. This flower came from the wedding section, I think, at Hobby Lobby. I had a pack of them, and so I've used some fancy little embroidered lace, and you need flat lace though, mostly. You need flat pieces. You don't want to make them real thick and bulky if you can avoid it. This flower's pretty bulky, but overall, everything else is flat, and so I'm using it, you know, and I don't mind that. because if I put this on the corner of a page in my journal, the bulk is at the bottom, not in the center of the journal to make it puff out. It's here, and I don't mind it. And I just think that on a journal page, that is going to be gorgeous. And same with all the others. I mean, they're going to be pretty. And see how I use this curved crochet, a little bit of crochet doily down here, and that just added a little something something to that. And so anyway, let's do it. So you would gather up all your laces. Now I have pieces because I was working on these. I have pieces cut, but you're going to need laces that are flat pieces of laces. They can be like lacy curtains from a garment, and you can buy this kind of lace too on the bolt, I think. So you're going to need some flat laces. I have flat pieces, you know, when you have pieces, this is on here, this is a piece cut off of here. I think it's this piece. You know, I had a piece left. You can use all kinds of things like this for texture. This is that doily, little doily that I was cutting up, and see, I've used little pieces of it. Flat things. Even this would be cute. It's a piece of a little doily that people used to embroider, the doilies that they used on their dressers and stuff, like a little dresser scarf, and it has this little embroidery. And I use it in snippets, but you could use them in your Shabby Chic clusters as well. So I'm showing you that. So you're going to need some of that, and you're going to need some flowers. Now, one thing I don't have here today is fussy cut flowers, but you could absolutely use, if you have like pink or white fussy cut roses and you want yours to be kind of flat, you could even make them with and use those on there. I think that would be cute, but I like to use these. I buy them everywhere. Some of them came from my ribbon outlet, some of them came from Walmart. These came from Hobby Lobby. So you can use, as long as they're big enough. I think these are going to be really cute too, because these are darker. So if I have whiter lace and whiter things, then this is going to be cute on the top, and they're pretty flat. So I have all of that. So, you know, I've gathered that. And also I have these. These are like little flowers. I don't know if I'm going to use one of them on there and maybe put something in the center or not, but you could, you know. So there you go. And you can also use buttons. If you have vintage buttons, would be cute. Anyway, let's make a couple. So what I do is, you could tear your paper. Let me look at what side. I like this. I like it where they have more of the music stuff. You can tear, these pieces were cut or torn with a ruler, and they're square, and I just used them that way. And you absolutely can. If you like the torn look, you could tear them into like square. Maybe I'll do some of both. I don't know. I'm gonna just do a few to show you how easy they are to put together. And I know that you all are creative and that you can come up with something maybe, you know, more creative even than me, but I'm going to show you how I do it. I love how mine look, so I'm all right with it. So like I said, you could tear it. I mean, you don't have to. And this paper tears so nice because look how straight it tears, because it is very old. And you just need a square. This might be a little big. So I'm not being overly precious about it, you know. So there's 3 squares, rectangles, whatever you want to call them. squares, I guess, more closer to square. And if you want to tear them along all the edges, you can. You know, you can make them very irregular. It doesn't matter. Like that. Okay. So then after I did that, I just started snipping some of my laces. Let me get my... Now I have this too. This is called tobacco cloth. And it's very similar, but it's very tight woven and sheer. Very similar to cheesecloth. It's just not as open weaved as cheesecloth. And I don't know where you buy it, but I found a pack of it at the flea market. It was a big pack. So I have a lot of it. Sometimes I coffee dye it and use it. And then other times I just use it like this. It's very hard to tear, so you really actually have to cut it. So I have this piece. Now, it's too big. It's just too big. So I'm gonna use it. So I'm gonna lay pieces down. I don't like this folded piece here. I'm just gonna lay some down. You could use some other type of sheer fabric, lace or something, you know, like, or you could use regular cheesecloth if it's not too, you know, if it's not too wide woven. So I'm just laying them down. A little overhang here, see? Not perfectly, I'm not clumping them up. And then next I'm going to use like this type of lace, and I'm gonna put it here to the side a little bit. And Shabby Chic is so pretty, isn't it? I love it. So you could use pink. You could use very pastel pink lace like this, and that would be so pretty. So there we have 3 layers already. Okay. And then next, let's see, let's do them all different from here. So for one, I'm going to use this, a piece of this pink, I don't know, some kind of stuff. And I'm just going to kind of lay that there. For another one, I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to use a piece of this, like I did on these. And that looks super cute. And maybe I'll use a different section of this and kind of so there. So now I have four layers. Okay. And I don't know, I might want to do another one so that I can show you something else. Let me get another one here. These are so cute. Okay, I need another piece of that tobacco cloth. It's kind of messed up. Cut a square of it. Okay, can y'all see? I hope so. So I'm going to lay that down there. It's got like ink on it or something. I'm still going to use this because this is my favorite right here. because it's flat and it's got that lacy look that I love. Okay, and then let's see, how about if I use something like this? See that? I don't know where I got that. I think it came in a package that I bought off of Etsy of snippet type stuff. So it's like a texture-y. Now, there's variations in the colors, if you notice. And so here we go. So now I have 4, and next is the flower thing. So this one has a bright white lace on it, on top of, you know, the other colors. So I'm going to add, perhaps, I'm going to try one of these. This is a flat flower, and it has some netting on the back or in the center of it. And it's kind of got that shabby chic look. So if I add that, look at that. That is so pretty. And, you know, I might want to play around with it. Look at that. So I have all the laces, the different textures and colors showing. And then I have my flower. Isn't that pretty? Now this one is pink. So I don't know what I want on there yet. Do I want white? White, it always works, you know, but do I want white? Yeah, I guess I could. Now, if I want it to be, well, I'll come back to that. Let's just get the flowers on here that we want. Now, this flower is small. See how these are big and shabby, and I like them. This is small, and it's okay. That would work. But if you want to take it to another level, what I'm going to do, and I never do it right, so I just do it the way I know. I take a piece of a lighter book page or music page, and I fold it a couple of times. And I'm going to cut out, hearts. And then I'm going to crumple them, and I'm going to ink them. And I'm going to put them underneath here so that it looks like I have like another layer to the flower. And it doesn't look like this flower's just so small in comparison to the rest of the thing. See that? See how that is? And we're going to ink that up. Let's see here. I'm going to use Vintage Photo. It's a good color to use for, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of an ink so that it stands out and you see it, and it looks like another layer to the flower. You know what I mean? I just crumple them and kind of put them together, and then I put my flower on there. Look at that. Okay, and then let's see, for the last one, I might want to put a butterfly. What if I want to put a butterfly? So I'm going to ink it up. It's got a rose pattern to it. It's a digital I got from somebody. And let's see, maybe, well, we'll look around. So I also have with me some trims that I could use. I like this trim in particular. And so I could add a little bit of this trim right there. And then the little rose sticks out right there. When you glue it down, it just has a great look. I love it. I could also do that. I could also do that with this one. Just put it along the edge there, and it picks up on the pink. There's a pink thing going on, you know, in this one. And I love how that looks. So I could do that. I have some other trim. They're all attached here, so I have to be careful how I cut them. They came in these big long strands. So, you know, I have this little trim like this, which could also be used somewhere if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do any more because sometimes less is more. You know what I mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them together. And the way I'm going to do it is I try to hold all my layers together and keep them together. I'm going to use a little hot glue and attach them in the center. And then I'm going to use hot glue on the flower. And that's going to bring it all together. So there we have that. Isn't that easy? And it doesn't look all clumped together. It's spread out so that you actually have a beautiful thing for on your page. For this one, I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to kind of get these glued under there. And then I'm going to kind of put a little glue on this in a couple of places. Oh, and okay, you want to be like that? All right, so there we go. Oh, really, really, okay. You want to be difficult. You can be difficult, but I'm going to win in the end. I'm going to win in the end. Okay. That one is really wanting to give me a hard time, didn't it? You could use Fabri-Tac also. Hot glue sometimes it's my friend, and sometimes it gives me a hard time. So there you go. All right, so I have that down, and there we go. Now, if you notice, now you could embellish this butterfly as well. Like in the center, you could put some pearls, whatever, little flat back pearls right here or whatever. Now over here, I have a lot of just that plain tobacco cloth. So to fix that, I might not want it quite like that. So to fix it, I'm going to take a little piece of this lace and I'm going to add that in under there. Yes, I am. I'm going to do it. To see how that looks. I don't want it to look so square, so I clip and pull. All right, that's really glued down there now. Now it wants to listen, you know what I mean? Only on camera. Only fights you when you're on camera. Everything only fights you when you're on camera. That's just the way it is. So, do I like that? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't like that. So, we move on and we get something else. Something more cooperative, perhaps. Do I want a little piece of this up here? No, I don't want it sticking out so far. I don't want it sticking out. So I'm going to go back to my trim. I'm going to go back to the trims. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to leave it alone then. Okay. So there we go. So now it looks more like I want it to look, you know. And does it have to be perfect? Oh, heavens, no. Perfection is not, you know, my forte. And I'm going to tear these little corners just a tiny bit. I have to work on this one a little bit, but I like it now. So there we go. There's that. Now you could do this different. You could do this with layers of book page. So what I did with this one was I took the butterfly. It's printed on lightweight cardstock. And I laid it down on several layers of book page and traced around it. And then I cut each one. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 layers here. You wouldn't have to do that many. You could do just a couple since this is a small. And then it would look like 3-dimensional like this. You know what I mean? And you could absolutely do that. Very easy. Not hard at all. I really am like getting this glue everywhere. I'm switching to Fabri-Tac, except for the flower. Okay, so we're back to gluing. I like my Fabri-Tac for sure. And of course, it has a glue booger. So you have to take the glue booger off first. And then I gently lift up some of these layers. Put just a little bit there. Just enough to hold stuff, you know what I mean? Because you're going to put that flower on there. And it's going to be okay. Okay, so now I'm going to use this. And I'm going to put a lot of it on there. And I'm going to put that flower right down in the center. And it's going to hold everything together. And again, I'm just going to tear just the tiniest little bit off these corners since they show, so they don't look so square. Okay, how's that? And if I want to, you know, when I look at them, this is just me, I like to not have everything look pointy, too pointy. So I kind of doctor them up a little bit, even on this one. There we go. Just enough to take point away. All right. Although if you like them that way, you can leave them however. All right, for this one, I think I made these a little bit big, but I'm going to go with it anyway. And I'm just going to put them together. I'm just going to fold them a little bit So it looks just a little bit like a flower, but anyway, I'm going to go under here. Under this one, I think I can use my hot glue. Okay. And then I'm going to glue these papers in the center. And you don't want them to lay flat. You want them to be turned and rolled a little bit on the edges. It makes it look vintage and shabby and more like a flower, actually. Tear these little corners. Just the tiniest bit. And then I'm going to add this flower in the center. And there we go. Okay, so these are super cute. This, I would look at it this way. Here's that stuff. If you have too much, cut it off. If it's too white for you, ink it up. Dab, dab, dab. Sometimes that's all it takes. And so there I have these little wow, all these strings and stuff. I have these little Shabby Chic clusters. Look at all of them. And they are super cute, and they're actually super fun. Another thing I didn't do, but I could have, was I could have added a little button up here instead of more of this lace. But I like the lacy thing going on, so I'm going to leave it that way. I might add some little pearls, because this is kind of dark. And if you look, I kind of broke that by putting some little flat back pearls. You could use pink. You could use, I'll probably use white. Now, another thing you can do it, I made these little, I typed up words on my typewriter. You could do it on your computer. And then I cut little word strips and I attached them in there. So you could do that and then like cut them into shapes like this. And you could add a little banner. Well, let me find one where you could add it. Now that they're glued, that'd be harder. But you could add a little banner with a word, because that would just be super, super cute on these. See that? You could write the word on the paper, you know. You could write some words on your paper. Let's put it on this one. You can cut it shorter. You don't need it so long. But, you know, I could write the word, any kind of word, on there and put it on there like a little banner. So there they are. Aren't they super cute though? They're very shabby. I like Shabby Chic. They're very shabby. They're not clumped so that they don't have any shape or any look to them at all. You have to just kind of play with them a little bit, you know, like clip the little ends and make them look more pleasing to the eye. And takes a little bit of effort, but not much. And look at that. Aren't they super cute? So anyway, I hope you will try them and make some cute little, now you could do any theme, but this is kind of a Shabby Chic look. The neutrals, light pastel pinks, that is kind of the Shabby Chic look. See that? Show you one close up. Aren't they cute? Very super cute. You can do this. See that? I love it. Looks great on a page. Let's take a look at a page. This is my page in my journal. Just say this is my page, my folded page in my journal. You know, I can put my little Shabby Chic cluster. This is not glued on there, but it would look better when it is. Any of these would look cute on a page. Look at this one. They are going to look beautiful on a page and very shabby, very neutral. So you could use them in a lot of different, you could actually use them in a vintage journal, you know, anywhere you want to. So I hope you liked this video. I hope it helped you, because clusters are something I have struggled with. I had a hard time for a long time making a cluster look the way I wanted it to look. You know, it just always looked like a clump, which it wasn't very pleasing to my eye, and I didn't like how I did them. So now this way makes them have more of a flower shape or whatever it, I don't know exactly what it is, but I like the way it is and how I can see all the different layers peeping out from the flower and everything. So anyway, that's just one way to do a cluster, and maybe you have a nice way to do them too. You should do a video. But anyway, if you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you won't forget any, or you won't miss any other content that I post. And I hope you give these a try. And have a nice crafty day today. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.